Okay, so we all think we know Warhammer 40,000, right? It's all about endless, brutal war. But what if I told you that the entire grim dark galaxy, I'm talking every single battle, every demon, every hero, is actually just a mask for a much, much deeper story? Well, today, we're going to pull back that mask. We're uncovering a secret history, a story about the evolution of consciousness, hidden right there in plain sight.
And our journey, believe it or not, starts with this one quote. It sounds epic, for sure, but it's so much more than just a cool line. It's the key. I mean, it is the key. Because the secret to cracking this entire universe, from a lowly guardsman all the way up to the chaos gods themselves, is hidden in the life story of a single individual.
All right, let's dive right in. We're kicking things off with Lion L. Johnson, the Primarch of the Dark Angels. Now, you probably know him as this legendary warrior, but that's not the whole story. Not even close. His entire life, it's like a symbolic instruction manual. It's a template for how any consciousness, any being, can find its way through a universe that's trying to kill it at every turn.
So, the Lion's story kicks off on a death world called Caliban. And when I say death world, I mean it. Just picture a planet that's basically one giant dark forest, absolutely crawling with monsters. This was a place where you had to be on guard every single second just to stay alive. Civilization? It was just this tiny little flicker of light in an endless ocean of darkness. Sound familiar? Yeah. Caliban was basically the entire 40K galaxy packed onto one planet.
So his whole life arc follows this really powerful four-stage pattern. First up, you've got mastery. This is where he completely conquered his brutal homeworld. But then comes failure. He's betrayed, and not by some random enemy, but from the inside, by his own brother. That devastating blow leads to withdrawal. He literally goes to sleep for 10,000 years, a total retreat from the universe. And then finally emergence. He comes back, but he's not the same guy. He's fundamentally transformed.
And let's be super clear here. This was not just a long nap. That 10,000-year sleep, it was a period of deep psychological integration. He was processing his failure. He was confronting his own inner darkness. He emerged not just as that killer hunter that Caliban forged, but as something more. He was a being who had mastered the shadows, and then learned how to grow from being completely broken by them.
Okay, and this is where the whole idea starts to zoom out, because this pattern, this idea of a world forging a very specific kind of consciousness, it's not just about the lion. No, this is the key to understanding all 19 of his brothers, all of the Primarchs.
I want you to think of each Primarch's homeworld as a kind of consciousness classroom. Seriously, the environment, the culture, every single challenge they faced, it was all part of the curriculum. And each of these worlds taught its Primarch one core, unforgettable lesson about how reality works. And that one lesson, it would literally determine their entire fate, whether they'd stay loyal or fall to chaos.
And you can see this pattern play out so clearly. Just look at Robo-Guilliaman. He was raised on Macraga, a world of civilization and order. The lesson he learned, order creates prosperity and it's worth defending. His fate, loyal, total loyalist. Now, look at Angron, raised as a gladiator slave on Nuceria. His lesson? Betrayal, that even the people who come to save you will betray you in the end. His fate? Traitor. It's a terrifyingly direct line from their classroom to their destiny.
Let's just really hammer this home, okay? The contrast couldn't be more stark. Macrage gave Guilliman a gift, a functioning society that he loved and believed was worth protecting for the entire galaxy. But Nuceria? Nuceria gave Angron a wound that would never heal. I mean, the Emperor rescues him, but leaves his friends, his fellow rebels, to be slaughtered. That taught Angron the most twisted lesson of all, that salvation itself is just another form of betrayal. So you see, one world created a builder, the other created a mindless engine of destruction.
So we've seen this pattern play out in one Man the Lion. We've seen it scaled up to his 19 brothers. Now, we're going to zoom out even further. Let's talk about the cosmic forces they're all fighting for, or in some cases, falling to. Let's talk about the chaos gods.
Okay, this right here, this is the absolute core of it all. The chaos gods, they aren't what you think they are. They aren't some external evil demons. No, they are us. They are humanity's collective shadow. They're actually necessary, fundamental parts of our own consciousness that we as a species have pushed down, denied, and refused to deal with. And by refusing to own those parts of ourselves, we've twisted them into the monsters we see in the warp.
Let's just take them one by one. You've got Khorne, the god of blood and skulls, right? Well, his true name, his core function, isn't rage, it's boundary. Think about it. He's the part of our consciousness that's able to say no, the part that draws a line and defines this is me and that is not me. That's a healthy, necessary function, but when the only way you express that function is through violence and aggression, well, then you get the blood god.
Okay, what about Tinch, the schemer, the changer of ways? His true name isn't deception, it's possibility. He's our imagination. He's our ability to hope, to plan, to dream of a different future. He's literally the engine of all change. But when that incredible ability gets unhooked from any real purpose, when it's just change for the sake of change and schemes that lead nowhere, that's when it corrupts into this tangled mess of endless deception. Then there's Nurgle, the Plague Father, and this one is probably the most surprising of all. His true name isn't decay, it's acceptance. He is the part of us that can surrender, the part that can accept the inevitable cycle of life and death and find a strange kind of peace in it. But when that healthy surrender turns into complete apathy, when acceptance just means giving up and refusing to strive for anything better, that's when it rots into stagnation and disease.
And that brings us to Slaanesh, the Prince of Excess. Their true name, Sensation. It's as simple as that. Slaanesh is the part of our consciousness that feels, the part that experiences reality through our senses. It's the pure joy of being alive. But when that drive to experience becomes an insatiable addiction, when you start chasing intensity without any meaning, it becomes a hunger that just devours itself.
So, what if the enemy isn't out there at all? I mean, really think about that. If the Chaos Gods are just our own psychological functions that we refuse to look at, then the biggest war in the entire galaxy isn't being fought against some external evil. The war has always been inside ourselves. So, what this really means is that the entire 40K universe, it's just a physical manifestation of an inner conflict, a psychological war made real. Every single faction, every battle, every hero, and every villain, they're all just parts of one enormous consciousness that is literally at war with itself.
And you can see it everywhere. Just look at the major factions. Each one is a different answer to the same question. How should consciousness evolve to survive? The Imperium's answer is unity through absolute domination. Chaos's answer is transcendence through excess. The Tyranids, unity through total consumption. See the pattern? Each one has a sliver of a good idea, a core truth, but they take it to such a radical extreme that it just becomes another kind of prison, another dead end.
So here it is, the grand synthesis, the entire 40K universe, every battle, every betrayal, it's all one massive internal conflict. The endless war isn't good versus evil. It's the idea of boundary arguing with the idea of possibility. It's unity through domination fighting unity through consumption. The galaxy is just one single consciousness having a massive argument with itself, with every part fighting to be the only right answer instead of trying to work together.
Which brings us to the final and maybe the most mind-bending piece of the puzzle, the punchline. If this whole universe is just a nightmare that a single consciousness is having, what happens when it finally wakes up? What's the joke at the end of this 40,000-year tragedy?
Well, there's this idea of an ending that isn't a victory for Chaos or the Imperium or anyone else. Instead, it's a moment of total, universal awakening. A single, impossible instant where every eye in the galaxy opens at once, and the illusion of separation, of being human or Xenos or Daemon, just completely dissolves.
And in that moment of awakening, the whole brutal war is revealed for what it always was. A classroom, a lesson. It was just a way for this one consciousness to explore every possible version of itself. The warrior, the tyrant, the monster, the saint. The whole horrible conflict was just part of the process of remembering what it truly was all along.
And that's where this whole story suddenly becomes a mirror for us. The entire 40K setting becomes this massive cautionary tale. It's showing us in the most grim-dark detail imaginable every single path that leads to ruin, every possible way evolution can go wrong. It's like a giant map of mistakes laid out for us so that maybe, just maybe, we can choose a better path.
So that's the question we're left with, isn't it? The 40K universe is a story about a consciousness that forgot it was whole. It shattered itself into a million warring pieces. After seeing that story, after understanding its lessons, the question isn't about them anymore. It's about us. In our own lives, in our own world, what are we choosing to remember?